everyone, and welcome to the Media Nord podcast CEU Specials by students for students. I'm Ani-Lea, and this is episode 13. I'm hosting this episode with Leonardo.
Hello, everyone. That's correct. Media Nord podcast is a space created by our student community, a space where we have a conversation about different things, about different topics, such as student interest and concerns about the student life at Nord University. But also challenges like inclusion, diversity, equality, sustainability, among others.
Also, it's a place where we can talk about our future careers in the media entertainment industry, its innovation, and its new technologies.
Media Nord has visited experts in Stockholm to explore our usual CEU themes. And today we'll talk about sustainability in films. We interviewed Hanna Nybeson, and let's hear what she has to say.
Hello, this is Media Nord in Stockholm, and we're in a park here in the city, and we're about to meet Hanna to talk a little bit about sustainability in film. So let's see what it's all about. Can you tell us your name and what do you do?
My name is Hanna Nybeson. I work with sustainability within the film and TV industry, and I run my own company and try to help production companies and broadcasters and distributors to work in a more sustainable way.
Can you tell us why sustainability in film is so important today?
Sustainability is important in all industries because we have a situation with the climate changes, and we have to. We often talk about saving the planet, but it's actually saving the humanity. We have to save our species because the planet will survive. So if we want to be a part of this planet in the future, we have to rethink how we live, and all industries have to do that work. And the film industry, at least in Sweden, is a little bit slow on that. So that's why I'm here trying to move things forward.
And have you noticed any, or what are the most significant barriers for a production to go sustainable?
I should say that it's knowledge, and a lot of producers think that it's financial, it's money, but it's actually not. So I should say knowledge, because they don't know what they can do without have to increase the budget, and also knowledge about how important it is, and yeah, it's like attitude and knowledge, I should say.
Okay, that's very interesting that you mentioned budget, because I think that's also something we don't consider as students or maybe as freelancers, that okay, we have no budget so how are we going to spend any resources into being sustainable? But then do you have any like successful implementations that we could consider as students in our productions?
Yes, if you're thinking of a no budget thing, you can always you have to eat. You can always think about what you eat, because it's not more expensive to eat vegan or vegetarian than to eat meat. You can also think about how you travel. Most of the time, you can travel by train instead of flights, and if you can choose an EV instead of a fossil car. But also, if you are making things like low budget, it is more sustainable from the start, because you have to be creative. You have to buy things secondhand. You have to use maybe construction work that is already been made and stuff like that. So it's I think it's a good opportunity for students to actually work with sustainability from the start, because it's also getting it cheaper.
How does this isn't in the questions, but then I was just curious. What are your most common tips, or what areas do you deal with the most when it comes to bigger productions? Where are you the most involved in to try to make it more sustainable?
It's the same as in the rest of society. It's travel and transport and energy. It's purchases, what we consume, how we get rid of it, so waste, and it's food. So it's the same areas, so that we look into productions as well as in society.
What's your experience been in the reception of your council in these bigger productions? Like how have producers or otherwise responded to your council? Yeah.
Very, very different, very big variation of reactions. Some of them are like reaching out to me, and of course they are very positive about it. And some of them are having like a broadcaster or a distributor that wants them to do this, and they can be more hesitant. And like with all change, it's difficult. People are used to their habits and do it in the way they've always done it. So it could be difficult, but a lot of times people are very surprised and positive at the end, because it wasn't that hard and it felt good, and some things were actually getting better. So I think once they try to think in this way and put on the green glasses, it's getting easier.
And do you have any personal experience with sustainability in film?
My first job was as an eco coordinator for the TV show Young Royals season 3, and that was very hands-on because I never done it before. So I did all the mistakes and all the good things at the same time, and only learning by doing. So it was trial and error, and at that time I realized how much could be done. And was really frustrated that the industry wasn't doing more. So that's my starting point to work with this full time.
And do you have any words of advice to students who are pursuing a career in film?
Oh, that's a tough one. Right now we have like a dip in the film industry, at least in Sweden and Nordic countries, which makes it more difficult, of course. I think you should try to find your specific like talent, or so that you can in one way like stick out and be like a specialist on something. I think it's good that the people who are hiring knows what you are doing, and not like I can do everything, because then it's just like what are you doing? So like I like to do sound, sell yourself as a sound technician. So, but if you want to create your own films, I think you should just surround yourself with good people and try to be a part of a creative and good atmosphere.
All right, that's good for us to keep in mind. Is there anything else you want to add? Any other points you'd like to touch on?
No, but I think that as a student, I think that the good advice could be also, because you are the new generation in film making. So when you come out and like if you have a pitch you're going to try to sell, or also with your school and also with when you are new in new teams, always raise this question. Like it's to just ask will not cost you anything. It's just like, how are we thinking about sustainability in this production? Have we taken sustainability in consideration in this course? Just like that nagging and nudging question could get the people around you to, because people who've been doing the same things for 30 years doesn't necessarily think about that, but you are the new generation, so you can always like hint them to go in the right direction.
That is very true. All right, then thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And for today's lottery and amazing giveaways, please leave a comment answering the following question.
How can we be more sustainable in our student productions? Recommend us a must-watch documentary about sustainability.
And to continue talking about these topics, we are pleased and honored to introduce one of Scandinavia's most prolific producers. Renowned for shows like Norsemen and Lilyhammer, among others, he works on both a national and international level. Directly from Oslo,
Anders Tangen!
Yeah.
Welcome!
Nice to be here.
thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for
I
being
feel
here.
young again. Yeah, it's good.
Awesome. Shall we just begin with the first question?
Jump into it.
Yes. When and what made you realize that this, being a producer, is the career and path that you wanted to take?
First of all, I grew up when we only had cinema. I grew up in Trondheim. I lived there for 20 years. And we had one TV channel with one film on each Monday, where we have to sneak in behind, to watch. So and to where we are today.
Mm.
So I always been fascinating sitting in the cinema, and I'm not nostalgic. And the lights went down, and the magic, you know, you had people there for 1.5 to 2 hours. It's you know, and I yeah, around when I was 18, 19, I realized that I maybe want to go into the cinema. And then I went to the military school, and my father told me, Anders, you have to apply for because we had to work 1 year after. It's called welfare officer. So it's like pretty much taking care of the soldiers' free time. So they sent me up to north, and I was running one of the biggest cultural house in the whole Norway. I was 21. So I had a cinema. We had we had a news channel. You know, we made documentaries. We did all cool things. We had theater. You know, newspaper. So that's where I started, and especially the cinema. So and I realized that I want to do production. You know. So I think that's where it started. And then I went to Oslo in the military with the king, and did the same thing. And I started to study a little bit because it's always good to have something, you know, some background from university and that kind. So I was studying media, culture, and you know, and we didn't have a film school at that time. So I could talk about that later, but I have to start making short movies by myself. And my friends,
yeah, and that was quite a like a sudden, I would say, quite a sudden move into the media industry.
Yeah.
And yesterday, for example, we talked with Kjersti and Bente, and they had similar as you. They still had like organizing, almost producing, maybe they're like more to festival, organizing those type of things. But I feel also you like organizing this culture house. How did that help you into becoming the producer that you are today? Sort of.
I mean, I always like to organize. You know, already when I was young, you know, when I was in high school in Norway, I was a champion in karate. That was my, you know, top of karate. So I was like, you know, I organized the junior Norwegian championship, you know, by myself. I you know, started the russestyre, you know. I didn't want to be the president because it was too much work. I had to study. I was not good at school, so I need to concentrate on that. But you know, it's just so I always knew that I like to organize. And I think like when you are young, like you are in a film school, I think you realize pretty fast what you like. And what you can manage and what you want to be, you know. Somebody want to be a cameraman, somebody producer, director. And I think it's also a lot of people, if they don't know what to do, they go in to be a director. But I quite early knew that I like to organize.
Yeah.
And for me, it was work with people. Because for me, it's the most creative part of production, because I'm in everything. And I have to learn everything. I have to understand every part of a production. And my influence, it's my way of telling the story, you know. And that's the main part. The reason I want to go into film, it's to tell stories that I like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially picking the right people to tell that story, or to help translate the script, the original script, into then the beautiful story that.
Yeah, and you see today a little bit that people forget that, you know. You have networks, you have you know, bigger organization who's supporting you. For me, you need the writer, director, and the producer together, and the cameraman, you know, because it's a collaboration, you know. And we can talk about. And that was what I liked going into TV. It was more like a family coming together and make something, because it's when you make a lot of episodes, you really need like a big organization who's taking you through that.
Yeah.
Feature film is more like one man's paranoia, where you basically have one creative woman or a guy, you know, who telling you what to do. So, but yeah. And I see today you can't just pick a writer and think like, okay, that saved us. No, you have to have the whole package, and I think that is the reason we all go into this. It's really to be And I talk to students a lot about this, you know, try to who are you in the production. Are you introvert, extrovert? It's like who are you and what do you want to be? You know? And I learned that a lot from military when you was out there in the bushes for weeks without food and sleep, and it's just like, where is the war? And I think the production is the same thing. You are out there, it's so much equipment, people, whatever, and it's like, where is the film? Where is the story? And I realized really early that to try to organize this and it's so important even for the production assistant to the director to feel that they are part of a film or TV series. Yeah. So we left your topics a little bit, but it's all coming together, and it's basically why I want to be a producer, is to organize all of this. And try to help big talents to come through and tell the story, that we all wanted to tell.
Yeah, I think especially understanding the project, even though like you're a PA or you might just be a light assistant or camera assistant. I think just understanding the story and the smallest contribute can still go so forward, and so in so many ways. And personally, with Haim, it was such once you get on set, like we're students and we have our small sets, and maybe the crew of 5 or 8, and then you arrive on set and there are 20 people working, and it's almost a symphony, and there's the magic with it, and it's just so beautiful.
Yeah, and I think that in every level, it's important to see and try to see where am I, and in Norway we maybe go faster into be the main role, like a producer or director or writer, but in other countries you're like working you up, so you are like you get the knowledge over several years before you get a leading position. And but I it's a funny story. When I did Norsemen, our Viking project, I had a student from Westerdals in Oslo, and he was a producer student, and he was driving all the actors from the set to the production office every day, from the makeup to the set. And one day he came to me and he said, "Anders, this is not what I signed up for. Just to be the driver." And I say, "You are not the driver. You are every morning and every afternoon, you are driving the 10 most well-known actors in Norway. Serve them coffee in the car, some snack, whatever, and then you can pick up the phone next time you're shooting a short movie and said, you're listening. Oh, hi, Peter, it's you. Yeah, I want to be in your short movie.
Yeah,
it's nice. Be friendly with them. That's the reason I put you in the car." And he realized shit, you are right. And then he's starting, serving them in the car and everything. And I think he did, one day he just, called, because it's nice in Norway, you can take up the phone and call, if you're a student, call a famous actor and ask them if they want to be in a student film. But they know next time you are maybe, or you will be the next thing, big director 5 years from now, so they're also investing in you, So this is important.
That is true. And to take just a little turn, today's theme we touched briefly on sustainability, and we would love to know if you could share with us your favorite film or media product that was meaningful or impactful to you regarding sustainability.
I don't know, actually. I tried. I saw your questions last night, and I was thinking about, because you don't really see it,
Yeah.
It's just, and it's been part of our life for the last 5 years, because you don't get money if you are not into doing this green productions and diversity. That I was also head of the diversity in Norwegian Film Institute. So that I feel is a part of it, And but what I can say about it is, I work with this every day, and I work with people in different businesses that are, and I think just to be aware of, it's not a mote. I think it's important why we're doing it. It's just to try to save the planet. You know what I mean? You just have to, should we have paper cups, or should we just, it's just that you on production see all over the places. We try just to, change for ourselves things that, that's important, and I think you see that in a lot of productions. But for me, it's not that you shouldn't have. I love meat, but you can have less meat on the table.
Yep.
But it's important for me is that it's all about a balance. I take the meat thing up because it's a hard discussion every time.
Yes.
But I think like it's a balance, and why are we doing it? It's the same thing with. Today we are talking about, we need to have handicapped people into production, even you are in a wheelchair, and we also have the diversity, women and people with color or whatever they came from. It's not to be friendly. It's because it's a part of our society.
Yeah.
But you can't if you are a business. Oh, this is so big topic. So it's like, I just want to say to you, it's just, we could use hours to talk about. So try to find the right words. But if you have a handicapped person, it's not enough to build an elevator for that person. You should hire him because he is doing the work.
Yep.
That's it, And the same thing with diversity. When I was head of a department in Norwegian Film Institute, I told my boss, because we are so much into diversity, so we can't talk about that issues before we are hiring somebody in a leader position, not an assistant, who is a leader.
Yep.
So that's my first hire in Norwegian Film Institute was Rodrigo Stoichev, who is behind a lot of films.
Yep.
And he's behind Elskling and a lot of big movies now. And I have to tell a little story. And this is we hired. We have time?
Yeah, of course.
Rodrigo Stoichev, he was an immigrant from Chile. He came to Norway when he was 16 because his father was a theater director. This is well known. So they have to escape from Pinochet. And so I hired. We hired one of the best diversity talker. The well-known person in Great Britain. She's doing all of these diversity programs for all the big business there. She's from Sierra Leone. And I had a dinner for her to have a speech for us and film people. And she picked me like this and she said, Anders, he is not black enough. And she, was pointing at Rodrigo. And here's the cue. And then I said to her, listen, now you are doing what you are saying to a white man in the 50s like me. This is racism. It's the opposite racism. It's not about color. I tried to tell her, it's not about color. It's the feeling. Yeah. So if you are a foreigner or an immigrant, so whoever, I hired not because of color. I hired him because he was 16 when he came to Norway and feel insecure. When I met him at the short film festival for the first time in Grimstad. Yeah. Where he's pretty much the only foreigner at the time in 95. That is the feeling. Yep. So when you are from Italy, or if you are from Grönland, or you are from Africa, it doesn't matter, because he recognizes your feeling.
Yes.
Yep. That is these topics we are talking about, and this is so important. And we had a really good discussion about that, because she recognized also herself to this was not good, And I think we also have to have these discussions,
Yes.
Because that's so important for me. And also this, what your topics today, it's all about a balance, Why do we do it?
Yeah.
And it's not a checkbox. This is something we have to do down the road for a long, long time, And I think we have come to a point today where a lot of people in Norway and other places, it's a checkbox. but it should be part of what we do, you know.
Yep.
And not like giving a report in Norwegian Film Institute and then you get the money, you know. It's you take it for real, you know.
Yeah, and you show that you're passionate about it, and that you show the meaning behind what you're doing, and and especially both sustainability and diversity. You know, there's also the point where, you know, where do you draw the line? Where do you draw the line between just doing it, as you said, for a checkbox, maybe just for a political reason, just to show that you're doing it, or maybe on the other side, you're doing it because it matters. You're doing it because you're passionate about it. And as you said, I think it's really important to have a discussion about it and to, you know, show people that, let's just say, you're not just hiring a woman of color just because they're women of color, but because they have it. They have the X factor. They're showing what they're capable of.
Yeah, and I also think, and this is another one thing it's so important for me. I'm not, you know, if you're hiring a black person, I don't see them like a black person.
Yeah.
I just, they're just not a normal person. It's not that is the feeling you want.
Yes.
It's just like, you know, you're from Italy, I'm from Norway. We don't care. I want us to have that feeling, but the only way to doing it is to include it, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, you're a Muslim. Yeah, you're a Muslim. So what?
Yeah, it
It's
doesn't.
just like, but it's a mutual respect.
Yeah.
And I think the worst thing we're doing is that we have some values and we have to understand, we have to talk about the values. We have different values. I'm not saying I'm better than you, but I think it's important to have that and try to normalize it.
Yep.
And even respect that you are different.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we do in the culture. We don't want to have like a black person or something in our film just to it's like a checkbox.
Yeah.
It because it reflects what we see every day in Norway.
Yes.
And I think that's it, you know, because I see some theater today. It's coming up 2-3 big shows in Oslo now, and some of them is blenda wit, what you call it. You know, it's so white, and it's like but society is not like that. I don't believe in it.
Yeah.
Because every day we live among us, you know, not only in Oslo, all over the place.
Yeah.
And I think that is so important, and that's the reason we are doing this.
Yeah.
And you know, we have a lot of to do to learn this.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah.
Yeah, and that is
Yeah,
that is definitely true.
It's a very important thing to consider and to think about during a production and kind of have that mentality.
Yeah, but I just want to say to also, I mean, if you're a Norwegian Muslim, I tell them, because when I was in Norwegian Film Institute, I learned that so much. You know, I did so many wrong things also, because you're what you call in Norway plumping out. You say some things that you shouldn't say. But we learn from each other, and I think that was the greatest thing, to be that diversity responsibility in Norwegian Film Institute, because we challenge each other. But if you're a Muslim, you don't need to tell a Muslim story.
Yeah.
If you want to make a romantic comedy with a white woman in the lead, yeah, do it. You know, it's not that if you are Italian, you have to have something Italian in the movie. No. You can make an action film if you want. You know, I think it's the best way of normalizing. And I think a lot of foreigners in Norway today, they feel that they have to reflect their culture. But listen, they're born here. They're Norwegian.
Yeah.
You know, they are maybe 3rd, 4th generation. It's just, and I think this is something we that are doing this TV and film has to be in front of.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, there's always something to learn in productions and from each other and stuff like that. But moving along, we were wondering, what was the first big project that you worked on, and what kind of difficulties did you encounter? How did that help you on your journey of being a producer?
I mean, it's funny because people think like, you know, I will come to what's the biggest in budget. But the biggest for me, it was go from a short movie, 1 day, 2 day filming, to I had my first novel film for 10 days. 10 days was so scary, you know, because you are shooting every day and you can't plan ahead. You know, if you shoot 2-3 days, you sort of have control, but when you have 10 days, no. But my biggest project was Lilyhammer. Netflix's first TV series ever that we did. I came in 2012 and did season 2 and 3. But the biggest challenging in that production was to combine Steven, who came from America, and forcing all the Norwegian. I loved it. It's just like he came in with all his gangster Italian Sopranos style into the Norwegian filmmakers, trying to make something that was bigger than themselves. And that was a cultural clash. And I think it was part of why I get hired, was to try to combine that two worlds. Basically also because that was the story, So the story Lilyhammer we also had in the production, but when we started combining that, something really good came out of it, Also for the Norwegian, because because in Norway we try to be equal, but it allowed us to pop up and create something, bigger than ourselves. And I loved it. It's 2 years, 24/7. It's just, So that was my first big production where we was shooting 120 days every day, And we was this an example. We was shooting in the same time. We was shooting in Rio. We was shooting in Sweden. We was shooting in Norway, in north of Norway, and we was shooting in New York, And Steven was on tour with Bruce Springsteen at the same time. So we had 3 directors. So it's, and we had a writer's room where we was writing in the same time. What I love. It cost a lot of more money, but we had that money, so we could do it, But I loved it, I love these big productions, It's just, but it's basically managing people. It's just to try to see everybody and then tell everybody how important they are, and try to make them see the film, and when they have a premiere, that everybody feel that they contribute to the whole thing. That is basically the producing. And paying bills, but that's something else.
And from being a producer and producing TV series into creating now via film channels, how did your experience, from producing, made you create via film channels?
Yeah, I mean, people maybe don't know it, but the little story is that when I start doing short films, and then I went into feature films, and I was so lucky did my first TV series in 2009, 2010, when the feature film had a little, downside. It went down, and then the TV series was taking over. Now, in these days, the TV series, it's going really down, and the feature film is still there, but not for everybody. What's next? And I think we are at the point where AI is one thing, but I think we are in the point where the social media now is the next thing. And I have for a year, 1.5 years, digging in, and I made a lot of different YouTube channels just to figure out what's going on there. And I think the next thing is maybe we are actually making our own TV channels. And I think also, so I've been digging in, especially this last year, trying to dig into the YouTube universe, because YouTube is so different. Because if you want to make something in YouTube, you need to have to follow the algorithm. Because it's so much, it's same thing with Netflix. It's so much, and Max and all of the streamers. When you are going into these platforms, it's popping up what you're liking, in the algorithm. So where can I find my viewers? So basically what you're doing it's that you first are telling YouTube, as all the programs that's helping you doing this, I want to make something about blah 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 blah, and then you get a list of what people are watching.
Yeah.
And then you create the thumbnails, you create the title and the description, and then you shoot the actual video.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit opposite of what we're used to.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like it, I really like it. But what I don't like with it is that I feel now like a filmmaker who's been in this business for over 30 years. It's that before I made something, and we don't know if people liked it or not, but we try to make something that stands out and try to tell something to the people that didn't know. But in these days, I feel we are trying to tell people something that they already know, but in a new way.
Yeah.
So I feel the algorithm sometimes taking us backwards, because the algorithm is based on the things that is already there. But we are artists. We want to, we want to make you laugh or cry or inform you, or some propaganda. We want to
Yeah.
And I think it's making us dumber, some sort of,
Yeah.
So but I think when you create a channel like you're doing, a YouTube channel, I think if you come to a point where you have a lot of viewers,
Mm-hmm.
then you can start, even in TikTok and Instagram, hitting something new content that
Yeah.
people didn't know they wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is really true. Like we saw it with in the beginning it was cinema to TV, then from TV to streaming platforms, and just the ability of having so many choices. You can just open Netflix, you can just open HBO Max, and there's so many things that you're able to choose from, and now the market seems to be quite wide, and as you were saying, social media, YouTube is what's taking over. It's
and this is our job.
Yeah.
So we want to get paid, but how do we get paid? Through social media. That is what I try to figure out, because you don't.
Yeah.
So because when you do a film or a TV series, somebody's ordering it. It's a supporting system for money.
Yeah.
But on social media, you need to, it's under 6% on YouTube that, get some money back. And it's even less who really have big money. So to come to that point, you have to live with YouTube for maybe a year, 24/7, to try to reach these people. It's taking time.
Yeah.
Who is paying you? Who is, so this is, time consuming. So it's sort of like a freedom, but in the same time, you need to get paid.
Yeah.
So my advice to younger people like you in the film school now, it's that what we talked about yesterday when we had the speech, is that skip this short film that you want to send to a film festival. Being a film student today, it's all about making your CV. Make your CV on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, short things. You have a ferry here in Levanger. Make a feature film from you go on board on the ferry to is going to the island. That's it. It's just like, you don't, it's two things which cost money in a film production. It's locations, because you traveling between locations, it costs money, and how many actors in front of the camera. The two things that cost you a lot. So, you could do like a TV series on TikTok instead of the one big short film that you are, traveling around Europe. And then you can try out what's working out there, trying to find your audience. And also find yourself through filmmaking. Who am I? because it's so important, you know. And I'm 56 now. I'm trying a new camera now. I start filming myself in a golf channel. It's like I feel like this is. Sometimes I feel like, oh, God, this is so stupid. But you know, I have fun. I try new things. It's just like I get it out there. What do people, you know, want to have? And I'm planning some short movies, you know, but like a TV series with small episodes. I did Easy Peasy, it's called Mandag on NRK. It's 1 minute to 4 minutes episodes, and it's great. And we went to one of the biggest festivals in Europe with it, and I split it up and I sent it to big festivals. Today, one of the episodes, it's going in cinema in Scotland, and it's like, so I have a TV series, but in the same time, episodes, it's going on cinema in one, you know, one episode is going on cinema in Scotland. Yeah. The series is shown there. It's like you can shop in formats, you know. I think that's you know, I think it's great, you know. And I think doing a bachelor like you doing, 3 years, just try this out. That's my best advice, you know.
And I think as well, like we're so lucky because we live, you know, in such a vast, like we're able to have a look on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Netflix, HBO, and so on and so forth. And I was thinking, why not use all of it? Like, I remember when I was a kid, Cloverfield was coming out 2009, and they were the first one that really, like, their marketing ideas were completely over the top, and just it's very close to what A24 is doing now, just using social media to sort of marketize what they want to show on the cinema or maybe HBO or whatnot. Why not do some multiple platform type of project where some of it is on TikTok, some of it is on YouTube, and some of it is on Netflix, and then you make people want to crave for more. Like, oh, I need to go there to see a little bit more. And YouTube and TikTok, they're free, and maybe you have Netflix already, and then you want to go and watch it, and oh, let me just check out what this is. And so I think,
or the opposite. It's like, let's say you have a story you want to put in a platform, Netflix or streamers, and you're not in a position of even coming in the room with them. So I was thinking, you know, okay, go together and start like the story before your story starts. Yeah. Let's say you have a female character. Let's do her little story before you come to the point where it's the first episode of your real series. Yeah. Try to get it on TikTok and YouTube and a lot of stuff, and they start doing that in US now. And then you have the audience already. If you are hitting something, and you have hundreds of thousands viewers, then you can go to Netflix or other streamers. I mean, a lot of streamers, and it's popping up new streamers now, more independent streamers in US who's really popular. And you have pop-up channels and all that kind of stuff. And they will pick it up. Yeah. And then you can make your first real TV series. It's hard for me because I already established, but you have each other. And you're already a student, you know. Yeah. And you have this fantastic studio, and you have the equipment, and use it. Yeah. And try to hit all of your content out there and see what's picked up. Yeah. And if it's picked up, you already have an audience, and you have a streamer, and you get paid, and then you are on the way. Yeah. I think that's the best CV you can make, you know. I wish I was young again, you know. Yeah. It's just what you have now, you know. I grew up with film. Took me a year to finance or shoot a film. Yeah. But I also learned something from that, because I need to plan. I need to financing it. Yep. I need to shoot it. I had limited time of shooting because it's cost a lot. Yeah. So we only had like 2 takes, 3 takes. Yeah. Because it's cost money to shoot, you know. Yeah,
and I think it's really inspiring for students, being like, you can make a lot of stuff, and you can make feature films with the equipment that you have, and you can film things locally. But we had a question about filming in different places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially we were talking about it last night, how, you know, like lately Europe has been the preferred location for overseas production, because of course, you know, Eastern Europe, but Europe in general is much cheaper. Maybe not all of Europe, but it's cheaper for them. And for example, Infinity Pool by Brandon Cronenberg was shot completely in Hungary, and despite it being a US production. And so how do you make the choice of filming in another country, choosing between your own crew that you know and you know they're capable of, and you bring them to the country, or you just go directly into the country and invest in the country when it comes to tax incentives that then you have to spend in the country and into the crew? So how do you make that choice?
It's easy. I mean, if people don't know what tax incentives is that basically you have a project, TV series or a feature film, and it's a little bit different way of getting support. But let's say you need 20 million Norwegian kroner,
Mm-hmm.
and when you have that, you know, and then you can't reach so much money, so so you have to find other way to financing it. Let's say you only have 50 million or 16 million, then you can go to a country who has tax incentives.
Yep.
What that means is that if you have a project where you can go to, let's say, Lykkeland, who is on TV now, they go to Belgium. When I did Exit, I went to Spain. I also went to Spain. It's important because also part of the story was in Spain.
Yep.
Not only because of the tax credits. But let's say you go to a country and shooting there. They give you some tax return. So let's say when I went to Spain, and it's different tax returns. It's a competition between countries and you know, in Canada, even the states,
Yeah.
different part of Canada, it's having competition between them. So let's say I go to a place where I get 35% tax credits. So what's mean is that for me going and shooting in Spain cost me 10 million Norwegian kroner. I get 3.5 million back from Spain. So you know, the company who's behind Exit pay, and from the budget pays only 6.5 million kroner. So I'm saving 3.5 million.
Yeah.
And so that is the reason we go to these countries, is because it's saving our budget. This is important. This is nothing you can put in your own pocket. These 10 millions, including the 3.5 million, you need to use there on local crew, renting cars, hotels, food, whatever, except actually planes. So you need to use all the money locally. And for myself and the Norwegian crew, I take with me, because sometimes I take the Norwegian crew with me, especially when I do a TV series, because continuity with costumes and everything. That I have to pay from the Norwegian budget.
I see.
You know, because they're not local.
Yep.
So this is a huge benefits for a country, because they can build up a whole infrastructure in the region, and if you do that also for local film people in your country, like in Trondheim can make their own tax incentives, but they should also make it for their own filmmakers.
Yes.
Then you will see a quite different landscape in the future. You know, you will have a lot of productions, but you also isn't like you are upgrading the regions. You know, it's so much more. You know, and then you're talking about your topics today.
That is
substitutable. It's you know, because then it's like we call in Norway bærekraftig for a region to have a film business. And also, and that's. But if you look into that further in, it's like local identity, national identity, you get international recognizing. You will have students or people. In Trondheim. Let's say they do this in Trondheim and Midt-Norge or Innlandet. They say, oh my God, I want to go to Lillehammer University. I want to go to the university in Trondheim. Oh my God, they have something Sintef. I want to work in Trondheim because it's happening, so much going on there. So you make you a little sexy for people around. And when I produced Home for Christmas, I went to Røros. And I told Røros that I want to take away your church, who is a landmark there, because in our story, I can't have a woman going on all of these dates in a city where you only have 2 main roads, but I need your Christmas street. But it's up to you to show rest of the world when the series is out there, world famous, and it was one of the top series for quite a years now, for 3-4 years, since 2019, in Netflix. Then you can tell them, we also have a nice church, who's a landmark there, and they did. They have a really good Tove, who's a head of the tourism there, and also the næringschef, and the head. They was great. And they did, and they are on UNESCO's list, but it's up to them. And the Prekestol in the Mission Impossible, same thing. Yeah, they in the movie they say it's India, but it's up to that region and tell, listen, it's actually in Norway. Come and visit us. And I think this is also something, building up a tourist industry, and also to get people coming and wanted to study in your city or your region or even work, I think that's it's something we should do in Norway, And I think the best district politics we could have,
And we did the same as well for Heim in Steinkjer. Like Steinkjer helped so much. And I think that also comes back into sustainability. Like, you invest in.
Yeah, but we have to have a system where, now the green lighted, they're shooting in January now, they're shooting season 3 in Røros. But the same thing with Heim, you need to have another movie in Steinkjer next year. So I tried to explain where we need a system where you don't only have one film and it's 5 years to next one. You need to continuing, and then people see that, okay,
there's stuff
benefits from this, and then you can open let's say you do it in Levanger, then if you have a production, 2 productions every year, then you will see a jazz club here. Then you will see some rock and roll clubs. You will see something, even a discotheque for young people. It's just like then, because you will always have people coming from other countries shooting here or part of Norway here with needs that you can't have if you don't have a film and TV production here.
That is absolutely true. And unfortunately, we are running low on time. But we do have a question in regards to still greener production.
Yes.
Maybe.
Our today's theme. So we were just wondering, because, people are hearing like, have a sustainable production and stuff like that. But do you have some advice for us students to have like a greener production?
Yeah, I think, what I did always when I did these things is to make having fun with it.
Yeah.
It's like have a competition between you to be the greenest production, you know what I mean? It's just because it's fun. Because a lot of people, when they, the government is forcing you to do something, and now basically it's EU, but embrace it. Said, this is so fun. I want to do this. This is great. I want to, try to, read all the rules, make the plans and everything. It's funny, And what happened in Hjem til Jul in Røros, what it was 2 big hotels there. What we did, we split our crew, and this is also bærekraftig, what you're talking about. So we split the crew and actors, so it was in the both hotels. So they, you know, so it's no competition. We try to be friendly, and actually one of the hotels, after they sent their the cook on, they sent them to a vegetarian course after we was there, because they couldn't make food for vegetarian and vegan people. So they sent them to Oslo to and I think that's
Yeah.
you know, that's fun, you know. I heard that. And of course, when tourists is coming from all over the world, who is not eating fish or meat or whatever, you know, they're prepared.
Yeah.
And then we it's just like a funny checkbox, you know, that we actually Røros learn something, you know.
Yeah.
And I think also for the students, just to have fun with it is really nice, because this is the future and it's important. And after a time you get used to it. It's part of your DNA. You don't think about it. You know, see, 5 years ago it will be like paper, you know, but now it's, you know.
Yeah.
It's true. It's. I think that's a really, fun idea, because some people might think of it as a chore or stuff like that. But if you have fun with it and think that, you know, this can be make stuff more exciting, it can also be easier for us to adapt it, you know, in our normal lives.
Yeah.
But
with
remember
production.
that when you are coming to NRK, and if your project is equal with another project, that could be your green plan could be something that they chose your project because of your green plan. You know?
Yeah.
So this is not something you do for fun, you know, for just because you want to do it. This is real. This is something you can compete on. And if you learn that already now, like you're telling me that you're doing, you can have you know, come in a position where your project's been chosen because of that. And I think that's the
Yeah, I think that's really good advice when it comes to sustainability and stuff like that. Yeah.
And in regards general, just completely general for us students, or maybe future colleagues, do you have any advice for life or career, anything in general?
From a white guy in the middle of mid-50s, no. Just be curious, you know, just be real, just have fun. Go out, shoot as much as you can, you know. You know, I don't want to, you know, when I was young, I didn't like that elder people give me advice, but after a while, I start listening a little bit, because it makes sense sometimes, you know, but find your path, you know. For me, it was to be independent producer. For others, could be to go in a firm and work with a bigger firm, you know. Try to be honest with yourself. And realize that this is a 24/7 job, you know. It's a lifestyle, you know. And but most of it, try to have fun and try to figure out what's going on, you know. Out there.
I think that was all of our questions. Thank you so much for being here. We learned a lot, and
we've been
really
all over the places. It's just so much to talk about, you know. So
Yes, I wish we could do a 3-hour long.
Oh yeah.
But once again, thank you so much.
You too.
And thank you so much, audience. Remember to subscribe to this channel and to follow us on @MediaNord on Instagram to stay tuned.
Yeah, but go and have a break. We will have a break as well, and we will be back in a bit to explore the media industry. Bye bye.